Pop quiz. In the year 1100, what was the biggest city in what's now the United States? Wrong. It was here, across the river from present-day St. Louis, a planned city of earthen pyramids and public plazas called Cahokia, about as big as London was at the exact same moment. London got a whole semester. This place got 0 pages. Today, we fix that, and we meet the desert architects who built the biggest building in America 1,000 years early, and the 5 nations who invented a democracy that's still running. Here's the recipe for a city: corn. Around 1,000 years ago, farmers in the Mississippi Valley got very, very good at growing it. Corn makes food surplus. Surplus makes free time. Free time makes civilization. And around the year 1050, something wild happened at Cahokia. Archaeologists call it the Big Bang. Not a slow-growing town, but a city built fast, on purpose, to a plan. Neighborhoods laid out on a grid, public plazas the size of stadium parking lots, and mounds, 120 of them. The big one, Monk's Mound, is 100 feet tall, with a footprint bigger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. And it was built one basket of dirt at a time. Around 15 million baskets. No wheels, no pack animals, no shovels of iron. Just people who decided a mountain should exist and then carried it there. They built a calendar out of giant cedar posts, a Woodhenge, lined up so the equinox sun rises exactly over the big mound. City planning, astronomy, and public architecture, all before anyone in Europe had heard of a fork. And they had sports. A game called chunkey. Roll a stone disc, throw your spear at where it'll stop, closest wins. People reportedly bet everything on it. The stadium crowd at a chunkey match may have been the largest gathering anywhere in North America. Tailgating, also not invented in 1950s Wisconsin. How many people lived here? Archaeologists fight about this too. Estimates run from 10,000 to 20,000 in the city proper, more in the sprawl. Somewhere between bigger than London and London-sized. Either way, it was the metropolis of a continent. Now, when American settlers pushed west and found hundreds of these giant mounds, they faced an obvious conclusion. The ancestors of the native people standing right there had built them. They did not reach the obvious conclusion.
The mounds were clearly built by a lost race. Wandering Phoenicians, Norse wanderers, refugees from Atlantis, a Welsh prince named Madoc. Anyone but the people who live here. Next question.
This wasn't a fringe take. It was the respectable position for most of the 1800s. A whole mythology got built so that nobody had to admit the land being taken had belonged to people capable of building cities. Which is the real reason you never learned about Cahokia. The myth required it to be forgotten. Then, in the 1890s, a Smithsonian scientist named Cyrus Thomas did something radical. He checked. Years of systematic digs, over 2,000 sites. Conclusion? The mounds were built by the ancestors of Native Americans. Full stop. The lost race was the one that had been standing there the whole time.
Fine. It was them all along. I shall now be studying something in Europe where I have never once been wrong.
Meanwhile, same centuries, 1,000 miles southwest, in a desert canyon in New Mexico, the ancestral Puebloans were building in stone. Pueblo Bonito, 600 to 800 rooms, 5 stories high, quarried and stacked entirely by hand. Hold on to this one. It was the largest building in North America until the 1800s. 1,000 years, and nothing on the continent outbuilt it until practically the Civil War. They built roads, dead straight, 30 feet wide, running for miles, cutting through hills instead of around them. For a people with no wheels and no horses. Archaeologists are still arguing about why. You may be noticing a theme with archaeologists. High on a butte, they carved a spiral where a dagger of sunlight stabs its exact center on the summer solstice, a calendar made of light and stone. Then, in the 1200s, a brutal, decades-long drought hit, and they did the sensible thing. They moved, some into cliff alcoves, whole apartment blocks tucked into canyon walls like Mesa Verde, and eventually south and east to better water. You'll hear this called the mystery of the vanished Anasazi. There's no mystery, and nobody vanished. They moved, and their descendants are the modern Pueblo nations, Hopi, Zuni, Acoma, Taos. The lost civilization has a mailing address. One more, and it might be the biggest. In the Northeast, 5 nations, Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, had been locked in generations of blood feud. Then 2 men, a prophet called the Peacemaker and an orator named Hiawatha, spent years walking between those nations selling a wild idea. Stop. Bury the weapons under a white pine and replace war with a constitution. The great law of peace. 50 chiefs, 1 council, decisions by consensus. And the chiefs were chosen, and could be fired, by the clan mothers. Women hiring and firing the government, centuries before anyone in a powdered wig discussed it. When was it founded? The oral history mentions a black sun, and there really was a total eclipse over that exact land in 1142. Other scholars say the 1400s. The archaeologists are, say it with me, fighting about it. Here's the part that isn't debated. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy still exists. It has functioned continuously into the present, which makes it one of the oldest participatory democracies on Earth. Benjamin Franklin knew about it and said the colonies should manage something similar. How much it shaped the U.S. Constitution is argued to this day. That it came first is not. So when Europeans finally stepped onto this continent, they did not walk into an empty wilderness. They walked into a place with the ruins of a metropolis, apartment towers and canyon walls, and a working republic older than most of Europe's parliaments. The forgetting wasn't an accident. But the evidence never went anywhere. It's 100 feet tall outside St. Louis, and you can climb it. Next time, the Vikings show up early, Columbus shows up lost, and the deadliest passenger in history crosses the ocean with him.